Now, America's biggest debt burden is now on the shoulders of people who have yet to even start a career. The money owed on student loans now outstrips the nation's credit card debt as the #1 financial problem. And a surging unemployment rate of nearly 10% is only likely to worsen the situation. RT's Anastasia Churkina has been to meet some of those badly hit by the crisis.
A ticking time bomb of American debt. This time, all this is owed by college students. $3,000 adding on every second.
If I keep going at the rate that I went the first year, by the time I'm finished, I will have about $120,000 worth of debt, just from school loans.
The most traditional financial baggage dragging behind for Americans has been credit card debt. For the first time, debt belonging to college students has taken over that #1 spot.
Students graduating in 2008, 2009, and 2010 are facing the worst job markets in a generation at least. And so you have people who have more debt than we've ever seen before and are having a harder time finding any job, let alone a job that pays them enough to somehow pay off all this debt.
29-year-old Shayna is haunted by major money problems. What she earns now is barely enough to survive on a day-to-day basis, let alone pay back for her education.
The money that comes from the internship is, like I said, very little and doesn't pay for much. It'll pay for maybe a dinner or two.
The connection between lack of a good enough, if any, job and growing debt has never been as tight for graduates. According to some reports, at certain American universities, students have been borrowing 70% more money in the last year.
The universities are actually cutting deals with the student loan companies and making money on the side. There's been a lawsuit in New York, $1 million fine against Columbia University for steering people to expensive loans. The danger here is that instead of capitalism, we end up with serfdom because these students are kind of indebted for life.
Dennis House lives in a basement in Queens with 2 roommates.
Your loan that you're paying back shouldn't cost as much as it costs you to live in a home. What they're doing is completely lowering the standard of living for an entire generation of people who couldn't help it in any way.
Just months after graduation, Dennis's relationship with his loan company is already abusive.
They're terrible. They're the biggest loan sharks, in the world right now. If you're late on a payment, they'll harass you.
This harassing can never go away. College debt owners cannot file for bankruptcy.
Your housing debt, your car debt, your credit card debt, if you go bankrupt, it gets wiped away. You literally cannot get out of your student debt. If you decide you can't pay it, too bad. Student loan debt's special, and it's especially sticky and hard to get rid of.
When your credit score falls, getting a job becomes even harder. Many companies check these numbers. Outside a major loan corporation, journalist Joe Weisenthal says youth is often pressured into taking on commitments it can't afford without even realizing it.
There's an incredible amount of propaganda regarding student loans and education in general, just in terms of people saying, how many times have you heard the phrase, education is the best investment you can make?
But unless a drastic turnaround in the system takes place, that statement may soon become obsolete. Ever since an economic crisis began in the U.S., the debate of how it started and how to define what's happening now has been non-stop. In this turmoil, a generation that is supposed to be the driving force of the country got stuck, jobless and indebted. So what happens next if the future of those who have to run the future is this bleak? Anastasia Churkina, RT, New York.
Why is it so hard for young people to find jobs these days? 3 broad reasons come to mind: inappropriate skill sets, government regulations, and uncertainty. Youth unemployment may partially be the result of a mismatch between the skills young adults possess and the skills employers require of their workers. Younger individuals already have less experience and training, but even people with college degrees may find that they do not possess the appropriate skills for the jobs employers are looking to fill. Government can subsidize education and send more people to school through loans and grants, but this does not guarantee future employment.